Have you ever wondered what it's like to be dyslexic? Hi, my name's Theo. I just want to make a little video here on YouTube on what it's like to be dyslexic, or what it's like to experience having dyslexia. Now, I first off want to say that dyslexia doesn't just affect you in the classroom. Dyslexia affects you everywhere in life, because when I got diagnosed with dyslexia early on, when people was explaining what dyslexia is to me, or even if you look up the definition of dyslexia on Google or in a dictionary, it means you have troubles with words, sounds and symbols, but your general intelligence is the same. That's wrong. That's a lie. Because having dyslexia, for me at least, and for hundreds, even thousands of people I speak to about who have dyslexia, is the furthest thing from the truth. Dyslexia affects everything, your way of thinking, your way of processing, what you notice and what you don't notice. Because what I used to explain dyslexia to a lot of people, as in, for example, if me and my friends would go to see the same film and my friend's not dyslexic and I am, see the exact same film, see the exact same images, but yet walking out of the film, we would have a different take on the film. We would notice different parts of the film, and I'd understand it in a different way than my friend. The reason is because I noticed different things, because my brain was searching and sort of it's just a different experience for me. What's in that film was a different experience for me than it was my friend. And that's the way I use to describe how my dyslexia is different. It's not bad, it's not negative, it's just different. And yes, there's negative things like reading, like writing, especially going through school. I definitely thought it was negative. But now I realise, now I've matured and realised, yes, things are a lot harder. Reading and writing and processing some information is a lot harder. Yet some things are easier. But also I come to terms with the fact that just because I've got dyslexia, just because I find reading and writing harder, just because it's hard doesn't mean it's bad. Doesn't mean it makes my life any worse, because it's hard. So what if you work harder? And working harder makes you more of a stronger character, makes you more of a stronger person, and yet it be able to give me skills of working harder, of like, you mean the gift of grit, gives me skills, gives me certain gifts that I can use to help other people, that can influence other people with dyslexia, or I can use my hard work here and put the same hard work in other areas and yet be a lot more successful in those areas, because I know the discipline of hard work. I know that discipline. But this video I just want to explain that I'm explaining to you my experience of having dyslexia. So basically I realised, this is my story, I realised back in when I was 6 years old, roughly 6 to 5 years old, when I was sort of like in year 1 reception time. And I recently moved school from reception to year 1. I moved school and I moved to someone in year 1. And I remember sort of like looking at when the teacher was writing the simple sounds on the board. And I remember thinking, how is everyone else understanding it? But I'm not. And I remember thinking that this is when I wasn't not diagnosed and no one found out. I remember thinking, like, how is everyone else so smart? Everyone else in the class must be so smart, because they understand it and I don't understand it. They must be so smart. I just couldn't understand. I couldn't incorporate it. I couldn't. You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense to me. It was like made up. And anyway, as time gone on, I remember thinking, they can't all be smart. I'm the other one out. I'm the one who can't read. I'm the one who can't write. They can't all be smart, and that means something must be wrong with me. I remember the teachers, they were really supportive, really helping me out for the first couple of years, saying, "Oh, well done, Theo, keep trying, keep trying." And my main problem is I couldn't speak. I was speaking, but no one could understand a single sound or word I said. I had really bad speech language problems. But everyone kept encouraging me by saying, "Say this sound better, say this, you can do this, keep trying, I believe in you, you can do it." And after months and months and months of them saying it, after months and months and months of me trying, they stopped saying it. They stopped saying, "Keep trying, you can do it, I believe in you." And I think because they stopped believing in me, and they thought, "Oh, something must be wrong with me," I started not believing myself and started thinking something's wrong with me, myself. And and also with dyslexia, my imagination was crazy. I've written in my book, but my imagination is, I used to daydream all the time. I remember used to just sort of like, everything could be a game. I mean, if I could get bored, I could play a game with my just hands. Or I remember a lot of time for maths class, we used to get the board and the pen on the whiteboard, the mini little whiteboard, and the little rubber. And I used to pretend having the pens, like cooking the thing. But anyway, my brain used to turn these really boring, ordinary objects into this amazing little game. I could have a glove and be happy for a whole evening with just one glove, and imagine myself, transform myself into a whole nother way, into a whole nother different human universe. Pretend I got powers, pretend I'm doing loads of stuff. It was funny, I used to try to play football and be really good at football, but I don't think they used to like me, because I remember I was always in goal, because it's the least position, least position where you do least effort. And I just imagine looking far away at all the trees, imagine me shooting down dragons and doing loads of things, and lifting up gravels of earth and doing so much crazy stuff. And yet that's not very good when you're supposed to be in a goalie and looking after the ball, not going in the goal. They didn't like me, and I didn't make the team there and at all. But my imagination was so incredible, and I just used to think about how I could create things, or think about how I could, sort of like put myself in a different world. Now, I'm going to tell you something that I don't like telling a lot of people, and I remember it was quite hard coming out about this, but like my little habit that I have that I don't like telling people, because I find it like seems a bit babyish. But at home, if you walk in at my house where my mum lives, there's a massive pile of sticks over there. Pile of sticks I used to collect when we were walking dogs, and pile of sticks and swords and a few guns. And I still, to this day, I can go around my mum's house now if I'm bored. I just play with them, and I just pick them up, pick a sword up, and I could carry right where I left off on my own story, like Fairyland. Because like just before I go to bed, I think like, it's weird, I'm being truthful to you now, but just before I go to bed, I think of that story. I think of, basically, it's kind of like sort of like good and evil with like orcs and stuff, and swords and that sort of magic and all that sort of stuff. But it's very, very complex. And when I go to bed at night, I think about it and I scheme about it and how I can move forward. This is the baddie, this is the goodie, this is the ultimate baddie, this is the ultimate goodie, and how I could incorporate it and how I could put twists on it. And honestly, I can go to my mum and reenact it with the swords, with the sticks, and I just put myself in a completely new world. And it's my guilty pleasure massively. I don't know any 20-year-olds who are still doing that, but I believe that's because of dyslexia. I believe that's because my mind's created differently. I believe that's because my special uniqueness and my special gift. But also with that, I feel that I can understand how people work more. I'm really able to understand the way where someone's talking about themselves, why they do what they do. I'm really able to understand how a person's mind works and why they do the things that they do. I find it's very, very fascinating for me, very, very easy to understand. And also with personal training, I still love exercise and training other people, but I can think of it, I can imagine it. For example, when someone's doing an exercise, once I got a basic understanding of how the bones work, how the joints work, and the muscles, and then I could visualize, okay, all these muscles and all these bones and all these ligaments are moving this angle and this angle, and this is going to cause, is this going to cause some sort of inflammation, or is this going to be good? Is this going to strengthen the muscle? Is it going to take the muscle through its full length into its contraction? All this sort of stuff I used to think about, I could visualize as they're doing the exercise. Because I was thinking of an exercise that I know would work, but yeah, I haven't been done before. I could do it, or I could see someone else doing it. I could visualize exactly how it's working, exactly what's being targeted, exactly what's being lengthened, all this sort of stuff. And that's how it's made me become a gift, and that's how I've used it as an advantage. I used my visualization as an advantage, and I used it as a strength, and my strength of understanding how people work, and so many other things. And basically, so from school, from me just having this massive imagination, after year 6, after I was like 6, 7, 8 years old, I remember recently moving to my dyslexic school, Brown School, in year 3. I was actually in year 4, but moved back a year. In year 3, I used to have this big coat. I think I had done it for 2 years. This big coat. I used to love going in assembly and zipping the coat up, putting my hands and my head inside the coat so no one could see me. I was the happiest person ever. I don't know, because I felt I was inside myself, because I think deep down I was very, very, very self-conscious about my speech pronunciation, about my stutter. I think I had a massive stutter. I couldn't even say my name properly. My reading and writing, all these sort of things I was so insecure about as a person, and I didn't like being with other people because I thought they would notice who I am and then make fun of me because of it, or you would think I'm less. Then I think something's wrong with me, so I just tried to hide out from the world, I think. And also, it was a funner place being in my mind. It was a funner place being alone, just in my mind, and just be able to think whatever I want to think, because that's amazing. It's like an amazing adventure I can think about and I can do. And so from the process, I sort of went through Brown School, my dyslexia school, learned things, and I still had the imagination, I still developed, and I still learned, and I grew as a character. And I think now, coming to all the years and years to where I am now, I've developed so much, and I realised my own innate gifts of dyslexia is visualising, is understanding how big concepts work, but also I know my struggles. I know my struggles, which is reading and writing, which is remembering people's names, which is knowing where I'm going. I know my struggles, and also, here's the most important thing, I have the mindset, and I know, and I'm confident that there's strategies out there of improving it. There's loads of ways of finding out that you can improve it. There's loads of ways of finding out that you can grow forward, that you can make progress on it, because look, you have the access to the internet now. You have access to YouTube, that you can research, and you can find so much information out there. You can find so much information about the world out there. So it's now, I don't know how long I'm making this video, or all this sort of stuff that I'm doing, but I just want to say that, listen, whatever your experience, I don't know why you're watching this. If you've got dyslexia, if you haven't got dyslexia, it's not one dimensional. It's not only in a classroom, it's not only here. You might think, oh, I know someone that has dyslexia, that's what dyslexia is. No, you're wrong. That's what that person is. Dyslexia is a massive, wide range of difficulties, of needs, and so many, like it with so many other things. You can't define one person within one diagnosis, or your own experience of that. You can't define that. My experience of dyslexia is completely different to what other people have. And so if you haven't got dyslexia, think of it as it's such a different way of thinking. It's primarily having trouble with reading and writing, but also it can be a broad range of other difficulties, and also a broad range of strengths, thinking more about holistically, thinking about everything as a whole, and just being able to visualize things massively and really creatively. But also, if you are dyslexic and you're watching this, just like, okay, he's really good at visualizing, but I'm not. He's really good at this, but I'm not. You have some gifts, you have some strengths within you, but it's your job to find them, and simply to find them by doing more things. You find them by being open. You find them by working on yourself. The only reason why I'm making this video, the only reason why I'm confident enough to talk about this stuff, is because I worked on myself an incredible amount to get over my demons, to sort of look for and focus on and finding my gifts. I've worked on it. I've done it. And the only reason why you haven't found yours is because you've got some negative beliefs that are holding you back, and you haven't really went out there and really done everything you can to find them. Because if you have done everything again, if you have worked on your mindset loads, you would find your gifts. You would find the strengths that it gives you.